So the man we love to hate. Okay. I was considered a hater of his for many years while he was on the team. And he had something to say about this right here. Mitch Johnson becoming the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, right? Like I said, I probably don't have to keep saying this, but Mitch Johnson coming as the next head coach, being the next head coach, that doesn't happen without Wemby's approval, okay? Like, undoubtedly. If Wemby wants this coach, that's kind of the most important thing, right? Is what the players want when it comes to a head coach. This is the guy that's traveling with them everywhere. This is the guy that's in the locker room. This is the guy that they've seen his work ethic. This is the guy that's going to be teaching his own, ideology when it pertains to basketball. Like this is a guy that they've seen his character. This is a guy that they talk to on a daily basis. This is everything, right? To a player, their coach is a big part of all of it. Right, that's very important. Prime example, right? De'Aaron Fox. What was the last straw for De'Aaron Fox? You guys remember? I'm gonna let the chat. Tell us. You guys are taking too long. It was Mike Brown. It was Mike Brown getting fired. There you go. You guys are too late. It's probably a delay. Brown firing of Mike Brown. Exactly. That was the last straw. Was them firing the head coach. So that kind of shows you, as bad as that front office was, and we have a great front office, right? But as bad as their front office was, that is what finally got him to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore, right? So it's very important. Now, I think that this is also a big deal. So the guy that I hate, I mean, I don't actually like hate him, right? But like, I dislike Dejounte Murray. He posted this. #Seattle. Mitch Johnson, I'm proud of you. You deserve this. So you got this stamp of approval from Dejounte Murray, who sometimes seems pretty hard to impress. I'll be real with you guys. Sometimes he seems kind of hard to impress. Looks like the chat is frozen. Like I can see the chat. It doesn't matter because I can see the chat going on my end, but on the screen it's frozen for some reason. That's stupid. But yeah, he seems pretty hard to impress, but he's been coached by Mitch Johnson. He's seen his work ethic, and he's coming out saying, yeah, you deserve it, right? It's not going to be a lot of people backing Mitch Johnson, only because I don't think a lot of players in the NBA have like a connection to Mitch, Spurs players obviously do. Obviously, they're going to say, yeah, that's cool. We're great. And even Spurs players right now, I don't like currently on the team. I don't know if they're going to come out and say anything because he was the coach for the season. So they're just like, oh, yeah, Mitch, cool. Mitch back, But I do think that this is a big deal with Dejounte Murray being someone that's pretty difficult to impress for him to give the stamp of approval even after he left San Antonio and talked crap. I think that is a big deal. I think that's a good thing. Anyways, that's scary. Okay, ask the question, July. I guess it did come up on the screen. Ask the question, my boy. I'll answer a couple questions, and we'll end this segment for now. You said, Chris said, I initially wanted Mike Malone, but if Mitch is the choice, I'm getting behind him, and let's go forward. That's the thing. If Mitch is the choice, first off, we haven't really had any, especially during this rebuild, we haven't really had any reason to like be against the front office, right? Like, not really. They've been making some really great moves, and I think most people noticed that over the course of the last year. But also, like I said, when it comes to a coach, you need the stamp of approval from your generational talent, right? It's not like we just got a bunch of role players on the team right now and we're still growing and trying to find we got our superstar. They asked him, or he wanted it, and he said it, right? But it was a conversation nonetheless. Okay, July. With Coach Pop stepping down and Pop still staying in the back, can one assume Pop is still in control, just like the Riley and Spoelstra situation in Miami? Ooh. Um, the thing is, okay, this might be, maybe this might be foolish on my part, right? Maybe this is a little bit of bias on my part, right? So I'm kind of open to other opinions on that. That's a good question. I feel like with Riley, there's a little bit more ego and a little bit more of like controlling tendencies when it comes to him. Popovich has it to an extent, right? Especially when he first started off his career with the Spurs. But I feel like as time gone on and he's had so many different coaches under him, and he realized how important it is for guys to have their own autonomy and make decisions. I mean, he's had Manu Ginobili coach at times. He's had George Hill take the reign. He had Tony Parker take the reins. He's literally got himself kicked out of games just for Becky Hammon to coach, you know, at times. I feel like Pop is more so the type, especially at this point in his career and in his age, that he is willing to kind of take a step back, you know, and let other coaches experiment and make their mistakes and take reins of it. So I just don't think he's the same as Pat Riley. Pat Riley is 5 years older than Pop. No, that's not my point. I guess Pop grew differently than Pat Riley. Pat Riley's just kind of he's a completely different person. You know, he's a little bit more controlling than how Pop is. I'm just saying Pop, as he aged personally, his own journey, he doesn't really, it seems like he does take a back seat quite often, you know? Also, I even think of when we won the championship in 2014. I guess this is kind of like apart from what we're talking about, but like there's a certain level of humbleness when it comes to him that he's willing to not take a lot of credit. But yeah, said I don't think it'll be as aggressive as Pat Riley. I think Pop will still have everyone's opinion on choices. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think they are definitely different for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's a good question though. But yeah, it just doesn't really seem like that. I mean, even because people mention like, I hate this narrative that like RC Buford pulls the strings of Brian Wright. I feel like that's very disrespectful to what Brian Wright has done, and also just kind of factually wrong. Like not Pat Riley, I'm sorry. RC Buford, even near the end of him being GM, he was giving Brian Wright a lot of reign, where like even the trade between DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard, it was actually Brian Wright who came in and facilitated the Jakob, Danny Green, you know, trade. Like he came in and he was like, okay, we need a little bit more, right? He gave him that, ability to do that space to do that. And then even in the draft where RC wanted Luka Samanic, it was actually Brian Wright who wanted Keldon Johnson, right? And he allowed him to make that decision. So I think that the Spurs understand as a franchise that it is important to give people reign and not just like dictate every single thing someone does, right? Because in order for you to be successful for this long period of time and still making good moves, it's not just two like dictator masterminds. This is a franchise that takes the opinion of a lot of people to make this stuff happen, right? It takes a lot of trust amongst each other to make these types of moves. You're not just going into it and saying, I'm the man, I can do everything, right? But I do think Popovich's ego was way worse when he first became head coach, when he made himself the head coach and all of that. I think he was, and I think it was also come down to him trying to protect his baby too. Like the Spurs were his baby, and he's like, no, I know best. I can do it this way, you know. But it got better. It got better. Him personally, I think he got better. Anyways, that's my take on it. July says, I hope it's different. Though we'll have to wait and see, but Mitch is chosen disciple of Pop. I don't like the job Riley's doing. I trust more in Pop. Yeah. Hopefully I answered your question well. It's a good question though. Anyways, Leon says, congratulations, Coach Johnson. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm ready for the draft lottery too. I'm ready for it too. I agree.